Hey everybody, welcome back as ever to Quali-Tea time, and you already knew this was going to be a rough video, so I apologize in advance. It's unfortunately not going to be any more positive than the last one. Quite the opposite, actually, for the most part. So let's get into it. The election that happened the day the last vlog went out. I am recording this, actually, almost 7 days to the letter that I recorded the last vlog, and the results of the election were surprising, to say the least. They were also genuinely devastating. Very few, if anybody, saw anything like what we came out with coming. One political analyst on the night even outright said that the campaign leading up to the election might as well have not happened, which then made it all the more frustrating that there were so many people that night just sort of accepting it as writs, rather than questioning, hang on, this doesn't make any sense given what we've seen the last month. Two things that I eventually managed to figure out in the course of that after I had a significant panic attack. There is a very strong possibility that the election has been corrupted. Now, I can't point to whatever is smouldering and giving off the smoke that says that this election was corrupted, but what the results of this election do not match the lead-up in any fashion. It seemed like every single day we were having a high-profile, report on some new travesty of what the Tories have done, are doing, are planning to do, and meanwhile everyone was cheering quite happily, gathering in large crowds, rockstar-esque for the Labour leaders. So it doesn't make any sense then that we would have a huge turnout, a huge pro-Labour kind of win sweep, and then there's a landslide victory for the Tories. That doesn't make sense. We also know currently that there is a lot of electoral corruption going on around the world, perpetrated by one particular government that we still somehow haven't just gone charging after, but I guess it's because they keep putting people they like in power. Yeah. I don't have a smoking gun, but I'm fairly certain this election was corrupted in some fashion on some level. So, start with that, shall we? That's a great way to go. The other step is that it is intensely clear that our electoral system needs revision. The extent to what we would change, I'm not 100% certain. I'm politically aware, I am not politically savvy. So exactly how we change it, we had a vote for AV that would have significantly changed the results of the election several years ago, and our own government led a misinformation campaign against it, and then people that weren't in university towns and hence apparently can't do basic math voted against it, so we're probably not seeing that for another 50 years. That was the Tories, by the way. Is anyone surprised now? So yeah, our electoral system needs gross revision. It's clear and obvious that it's not actually, functioning anymore. It's very probable that our election was corrupted, but for the time being, Boris Johnson is our Prime Minister with an overwhelming majority in the House, so there is officially not much that we can do in the meantime. We can investigate any number of things, we can get him pulled out of power, but that's going to take a while, and he's already done a lot, and the Tories have already done a lot. So there are some consequences that we are going to have to live with for this election, no matter what the ultimate result is in the future. So what can we look forward to? We can look forward to less funding for social support structures, food bank usage that includes the NHS, that includes gender clinics, that includes all manner of things that are just going to be heavily underfunded, which means things are going to be harder for me and for Fuzz. It's going to be harder for us to get medication, it's going to be harder for us to pursue gender dysphoria issues, it's going to be harder for us to survive, because they're going to cut away at universal credit, which is already a terrible system anyways. So that's not great. After that, there was a surge in hate crime after the announcement of the outcome of the election, so we can expect that to continue. I don't think it'll be quite as high as the night, but we're definitely going to see hate crimes rising, because our new Prime Minister is dead set on getting Brexit done in as rapid a fashion, not as clear or clean a fashion as possible, and then we'll be spending the next 20 years on it. That's not an exaggeration, that's how long it'll take for us to actually sort out all of the actual, like, treaties and such that we'll need to function. Once that happens, we can expect widespread economic catastrophe. So my country is burning, in short. My country is burning. The vast overlay of different communities that I'm a part of, or just friendly to, a lot of them are going to suffer from this quite dramatically. There's also a fairly high probability that more than one of the family members I'll be seeing this Christmas voted for people, not just around me, but also in, like, specific me to suffer as a consequence. My entire generation is going to suffer for this. There's no two ways around that. It's not going to be pleasant. This is not going to be good. We could pull Boris Johnson out of number 10 in, like, the next month, or we could pull him out in the next 5 years. It's going to hurt. Consequently, after that election night, I had a bit of a slump. I barely did anything for, like, the next 3 days after that. I tried to get the streams going, I did those, that was more or less the only thing I was able to do, but video work I have been more or less dead in the water for most of the past week. The Advent candle precipitously ended, seemingly, on Thursday night and such, so you can kind of tell that had an effect. I'm still working on the Advent candle. Hopefully I will have all 24 by the 24th, but it will probably be in more spurts than daily releases as it was initially planned, but I want to keep doing that. This vlog started as just like a way to let people know what was happening in a given week, and now it's sort of evolved into a portion of here are today's issues, and here's how much I think it sucks, and here's where I think we can turn it up and get things going a bit smoother and better and all that sort of thing. Here's me highlighting various things you need to know, and a lot of people in my community are under 20 years old. It's not true of everybody, it's, I want to say, the majority. A lot of people are not yet economically independent. A lot of you are members of the LGBT spectrum. This consequently means that a lot of you, if not all of you, are going to be affected by the issues brought up in this past election. I can't say that this is going to be a good time for you. I can't say that we can all just kick back and sort of play our video games, ignore it, and just be happy or in our own little ways. Basically, the entire political structure of two different, if not more, global superpowers has been corrupted and is now seeking very much to destroy you. Maybe not overtly in the fashion of a classical story of, like, Nazis, essentially, but very much it's gearing towards that. It's taking its smaller steps. It's making it harder and harder and harder for you to survive, so that ultimately you just won't. And we won't really have a clear point to which we can just call it genocide. So when the entire world seemingly wants to take your little spark, your little flame, and snuff it out cruelly underfoot, I have one mote of support for you. I have one thing that I can tell you to do with that little spark of yours. Burn harder. Burn bright and hot enough that they can never say that you're gone. Burn bright and hot enough that there is a quantifiable question as to how they can destroy you, because you're not going away, you're going to continue, you're still here, and you're not going to get quieter, you're going to get so much louder. When the world wants to snuff you out, burn harder. And that's all I can say for the political news. So as I say, Advent Candle will be continuing in spurts. The Christmas Eve stream that we have every year, watching Patrick Stewart's A Christmas Carol, which is a personal favourite of mine, will be happening as normal on the 24th at 9 PM. Hope to see you there. And otherwise, here's your schedule. Our upcoming streams for the week: on a Thursday at 9 PM we have Midnight, and apparently there's a thing called a behemoth. That's an insect, right? Then on Friday night at 9 p.m. we have more Friday Night with Dead by Daylight, and let's just have some fun, shall we? And on Saturday night at 9 p.m. we have The Carousel, which is our last little chat before Christmas, and some fun games. And our last stream for the week on Tuesday at 9 is, of course, the Christmas Eve stream. And the videos you might have missed for the week, in addition to all of our Advent Candle installments, we have an episode of Dailies by Daylight where Bubba has a mission, and it includes a weird errand. And we have an episode of Various Oddities Showcase, introducing the very first artifact of Various Oddities, the Disembodied Heart. And, as ever, onto the questions. So, this is the little segment where you guys get to ask me whatever you like down in the comments, and I will see if it gets answered in the next vlog. We have one question this week. Do you prefer object-oriented programming or procedural from Morbits? Now, for those of you who aren't aware of programming terminology, the easiest way to describe it is procedural is everything in one class, and then object-oriented is a whole ton of different classes defining what a given variable is, that kind of thing. It's object-oriented is a lot more complicated. Procedural tends to be much easier to see. I'm heavily streamlining and simplifying here, so don't worry if this doesn't actually match up your personal knowledge of this. This is just me kind of like bleh. I started with procedural programming. That was in writing the Lua code, which is a C-based language, in Gary's mod with the WireMod plugin and the expression, I think it was called, system, and that's how I got into programming early on. It was very interesting to just start with that, so I started with some very complex things. I even sort of had an initial accidental foray into object-oriented programming at that point, because I would make little chips that had one program running on them, and then variables would just pass between them through wires. It was entertaining. But I then got into object-oriented programming because I started to figure out Java to do Minecraft modding in around, I want to say 2012, probably earlier than that, I don't recall. And generally speaking, I prefer object-oriented programming because it means that I can build new stuff and chuck parts in and they'll start working, and I don't have to worry about the bigger system outside too much. Now, there's obviously distinctions, there's obviously differences, it depends on very much on what I'm making and how quickly can I make it, that kind of thing. My attention span is a definite concern, and I think on balance, I prefer object-oriented over procedural because I like to tinker more than I like to erect huge structures. That said, I have made some huge structures that were glorious to tinker in afterwards. I still very fondly remember the first time that we got a dwarf in the Yog Dwarfs project to carry an actual order across the network, and it was beautiful and I loved it, and I was so happy that night to just watch a dwarf ask a courier to go and ask a quartermaster for an apple and bring it all the way back. It was beautiful. But that was like setting up a whole structure that was itself discrete parts, and that was lots of fun. But it's a lot harder to iterate over that stuff, I guess. It's harder to update it, especially. It tends to be built on what's there, and you can't really unplug it. I prefer things that you can like shove here and there. It's nice and fun that way. But that's all I have for you this week. So, as ever, hope you've all enjoyed. Burn harder.